first version I created. So,
How did you even know?
such a version. A little less sucky.
You know, because I keep my stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
It was so dramatic. I keep it in a pouch.
One class.
You don't.
Yeah.
Do you or no?
Keep it in mine's cool.
It's hard.
Yeah. Busted.
How did she even get that so dirty?
She like, I don't know.
She just shares. You just like heard. Sounded like a bird. You're gonna have to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Is this everybody? So is there anyone from Dr. Stryker's class is here now, or is his class still not out?
We just got out.
You just got out, okay, are there more people coming?
Probably.
Okay.
I think some people are gonna phone in.
Okay, which is fine. If you have your computer, I would advise you actually to open it and get your own AAPI account. And you can follow along and maybe even type in something to move your own application along.
Dr. Sachs, Megan's saying that the code's not working. She's trying to join. Is it because we haven't started anything yet? Or?
Let's see. I'm increasing the volume. The training has started, and there are 6 people who have joined.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm not sure what may have gone wrong,
Okay, I'm sorry.
but yeah.
And this is for, how long is this?
How long is this? Yeah, so I set aside 2 hours for this, and it really depends how long it takes us to get through the entire AAPI. And so I do want to answer everyone's questions along the way, and chances are if you have a question, someone else may be curious about the same thing, so I do want to do that. We can get out early, it's fine, but it does take time to get through all of the AAPI. I think what I will do is just start the introduction now, and if some people come in the next few minutes, they will just join in to that. Welcome back for the fall. Everyone who I've not seen and said hello to yet already. This is, for me, a training that I really like because it's very concrete and definite. And I guess there's a part of me that's a little OCD that likes those kinds of things. And so if you also have an OCD part of yourself, then that will come into play here and help you get the details right, which is important for your application. We're going to be going over those details today. I do want to acknowledge that this is a stressful time, starting this fall, what with waiting for comps results for everyone who's taking comps. And I was in faculty meeting this morning. Dr. Lilienfeld, who was heading the comps committee of the faculty, just reaffirmed that before the end of September, all of the results are going to be scored and checked and rechecked and validated and distributed to everyone who took comps. So it will take a while still. There will be a while to wait. I will say from my historical perspective that most people pass, and that from the standpoint of preparing for internship applications, plan as if you have passed the exam and move ahead with internship applications. That may be hard to do at some level, but I really encourage you to do that. You know, it's important that you're here today and moving forward with the AAPI part of it. I know people also have practicum in many cases, in classes, and you know, a lot of other responsibilities, so that it is a hard time. This is the time to really push on the internship application part. So if you can moderate the time and effort that you spend on anything else during this time in order to balance and have a sane life, I hope you can do that. Because after November 1st, when your first applications are in, things will settle down just a little bit for you on the internship front. I will also just acknowledge again changes we've had in faculty and staff on our campus. Dr. Emma Ahrens is now serving as the MAC Internship Director, and she will actually be speaking in the same time slot a week from now about the 2019 offerings of sites within the MAC Internship Consortium. So I don't have an Associate Director of Training. Those of you who worked with her, I'm sure you miss speaking with her and her support in the process. Right now, it's me. And so I want to be there for everybody just as much as is possible during this time and answer all your questions. Having this workshop is one way of hopefully answering a lot of questions and giving a lot of advisement at once. So that's why we're doing it. So before we focus in on the AAPI itself, I just want to ask if people have general questions about the internship application process that you have encountered along the way. Anything that you want to ask about internship in general. No. Okay. So if anything comes up along the way, this is a two-way conversation. So if it's about the AAPI or if it reminds you of something else internship related, let's talk about it during this this time. Let's see. Many of you have sent me drafts of your essays, site lists, cover letters, etc. I am getting to those as quickly as I can and will be giving you some feedback in the time that I have available, perhaps not as detailed. I may refer some people on to the Writing Center. Jennifer Beach has kindly offered to be available, actually, as she has been every year. So she's quite familiar with the internship essays and cover letters, etc. And she will be providing help to, I think, many of you during these 2 months. I will also mention, again, last thing before we get into the AAPI, there are some other workshops coming up. I mentioned next Thursday at 4 o'clock, Dr. Emma Ahrens talking about the MAC Internship Consortium. So that will be important. That also has a remote attendance option, so you could attend remotely for that and hear about the component sites that are going to be active for next year. There is also, for people interested in forensic internship sites, Dr. Lally is going to be, again, in this room, all the internship workshops. This is going to be your internship headquarters. Next Tuesday, the 18th of September, from 12:20 noon time to 1 o'clock, he is going to be doing a brief presentation and question and answers about forensic internship sites. Then on Thursday, we're going to have an integrated healthcare internship presentation with Drs. Morin, Johnson, and Schiff, all in this room, again starting at 12:20. That is Thursday, the 20th of September. So if you're interested in looking into integrated healthcare internship sites, they will be here to answer questions. Following that, the following week, on Tuesday and Thursday, the 25th and the 27th, neuropsychology internship sites are going to be the topic, and that's going to be Dr. Allison Fedio. Again, 12:20 p.m. to 1 p.m. Again, in this room, 712. These latter sessions that I've mentioned are not going to be remotely available. So you're going to have to show up or else email the presenter on the faculty for their slides and catch up with the information that way. So if neuropsychology sites are of interest to you, again, attend one of those, and Dr. Fedio is offered both Tuesday and Thursday for that. So those workshops are coming up. The integrated healthcare internship one for next Thursday was not on the schedule previously that I had sent around. That was just added today. I heard back from those faculty members, and they're going to be doing that. Okay, so that's what's coming up schedule-wise. So now, without further ado, let's talk about the AAPI. So I hope that this screen that you see is something that is familiar to you from having started your own application. And what it has, of course, running down the middle is the application checklist, which are the different sections of the application. Let's see, this is a little, that show that we're going to be walking through during this time and looking at how to fill out. Let's see. Over here on the right, there is a status bar, and we'll be talking a little bit about transcripts. Designations means internship sites to which you are applying. References, we're going to be talking about the reference section, and payments, and your DCT certification, that's me. We are going to be touching on all of those aspects of your status, and so you can see again in this home screen what your status is with reference to all of those aspects of your application. So, let's start section by section. I'm going to say something quickly about each section, and then ask you if you have any questions about it, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. The early sections, I think, are fairly straightforward. The contact information, your address, your phone and email, primary email address, etc. Pretty straightforward. Any questions about that? No. Okay, on we go. Personal information. Again, fairly straightforward. Citizenship, status, visas, if applicable, preferred name, languages in which you're fluent enough to conduct therapy, any materials under another name. If you have previous transcripts from other graduate programs under another name, or any other materials that are going to be attached to your AAPI that are under another name, make sure to mention that name here so that they will be not separated and will be put together for you. So, any other questions about that section? So, you will see at the bottom of each section this save button. So if you have ever made any changes to what you have entered, you will press save, and that will save the changes you've made. Otherwise, if you navigate off the page, your changes are lost. But when you press save, you are brought back to your home screen here. So we've done personal information. Now the applicant code number is the next section, and this is otherwise known as your match number. The match is separate from the AAPI, but your match number will eventually be posted within your AAPI and will be part of what gets submitted to internship sites. I've advised you not to pay the $135 and sign up for the match yet until you hear that you have passed comps, because this is a non-refundable fee, and we don't need to do this yet during September. So if you've gotten to this point in the AAPI, just disregard this section for now, and you can get to that during October or November. The sites will eventually need this match number when you interview with them, because they will want to enter your match number in their ranking lists as their #1 choice of student to match with. So at that point, you'll definitely want to have your match number. So, any questions about that before we move on? Okay, match number. So, next section is professional conduct. So this is a series of questions about your professional conduct, which for most people, most of the answers are going to be no. And if you answer no to the questions, you move right on and you do not need to elaborate. If you do need to elaborate, then there is a box here in which you will enter text explanation. So let's just walk through and look at what these professional conduct questions are. Disciplinary action been taken against you by a supervisor, educational or training institution, healthcare institution, professional association, or licensing certification board. Yes or no? If it's yes, please elaborate. Any complaints currently pending against you before any of the above bodies? Yes or no? If yes, please elaborate. Has there ever been a decision in a civil suit rendered against you relative to your professional work, or is any such action pending? If yes, please elaborate. Have you ever been put on probation, suspended, terminated, or asked to resign by a graduate or internship, training program, practicum site, or employer? Yes or no? If yes, please elaborate. Have you ever reneged on an APIC internship match agreement without prior approval? I don't think that applies to anyone in our group. Have you ever been convicted of an offense against the law other than a minor traffic violation? Yes, if yes, please elaborate. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? If yes, please elaborate. So, over the years, and this is, I believe, my 12th year doing this, I have encountered a number of students who answer yes to one or another of these items in the course of the year. And in general, I have sat down with those students to help them draft what they write in these sections. And I think that that is, can be helpful to you because we want to share what's honest, share what's appropriate, and also answer in a professional manner that puts our professionalism in the best possible light. So I have worked on these issues with students over the years. So you have a yes answer, contact me, and let's talk about what the situation is, what you're going to write, and go over that so as to do it in the most appropriate way. So that's the professional conduct section. Are there any questions about that now before we move on? Okay, so moving right along. I didn't enter the no's, but if you enter the no answers and then click save at the bottom, then you're done with that page. We notice on the home page here, there are these little squares that say started or not started, and eventually they're all going to have to be started and completed. So we have done these sections. The next section is other colleges attended. And so this is the first one with a few complications and details. And so if you have your own page up, I think that it's good and helpful to have it at this point. This section about other colleges attended is one of the things that I sent some sample pages in an attachment to you all earlier this week, where it was filled in. They were screenshots essentially from an AAPI that I filled out that show you the answers that you're trying to do. So what I want to do is go in and show you what it's like to fill this out, because I'm supposing for these purposes that you attended Argosy University and did a master's degree in forensic psychology. And so you find Argosy University programs other than the PsyD program. You find them in Washington, D.C., not Virginia. So this is one of the glitches about Argosy University in the AAPI system. This is where you'll find it. So if you did the master's, the terminal master's in clinical psychology, our MACL program, or if you did the counseling program here, or if you did the forensic psychology program here, or if you did any kind of terminal master's program in any Argosy University campus across the country, you will be listing this as an other college attended other than the current PsyD program. So you will fill in this information. Was it a graduate? Was it an undergraduate? The attendance dates, your GPA, the degree earned, what was the major in the degree, was your degree awarded, is this the highest degree you've earned in a mental health field? We will answer no, because the highest degree that we have earned is the master's en route to the PsyD here. So that will be a no. And then you'll save that information as always. And what you will see is that the screen for other colleges attended now records that basic information left to right in this section. Can people see from the back? Is this big enough to see? Okay. Just you're welcome to sit in the front if it's too small. So it lists, so we do or don't log the master's en route. Aisha, thank you. You do not log the master's en route. Yes, question.
Would you add a college that you like completed like a semester or two if it was the master's program, or no?
They want every graduate college and undergraduate college that you attended.
Oh.
Yes, they do. And so they also want transcripts from every graduate college that you attended. Question? Yeah.
Would I put master's because I didn't get it en route? I was in the master's program first here.
Yes, you will.
So yes.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
If you did our terminal master's in clinical psychology, yes, you will put it in this section. Yes.
When you're selecting our school, there's two options. It says either Argosy University, Washington, D.C., or the same thing, but with the American School of Professional Psychology for that. So, like, which option do you pick?
For
Does it
what?
matter?
For what program?
For
the PsyD program?
Yes.
We haven't got to the PsyD program yet.
Oh, okay.
It turns out that, I'll just go back to the home screen here, your current graduate program information is in the next section down in the AAPI. So we've not gotten to the PsyD program yet. We're going to talk about the PsyD program next, after this section. But right now we are in the other colleges attended. So this is for graduate colleges attended and undergraduate colleges attended. And Lane Brook, I'm going to talk about transcripts in just a second. So thank you for that question.
I mean, so we're also including, so we are including undergraduate colleges. Do we include just the one that we got our degree from, or do we include?
Okay, these are good questions. And so here I want to call your attention to instructions for this section, which is a button in the upper right in every one of the screens of the AAPI. You always have this, and this is where you get the most detailed instructions for that particular section. So if we click on that, we see the answers to these questions. Do not report your current doctoral program in this section. That will be in the current graduate program information. Report all other post-secondary institutions, regardless of their relevance to the programs you're applying to. Includes courses taken in high school for college credit, summer courses, community college courses, military academies, post-baccalaureate, graduate, and doctoral work, study abroad, Canadian and foreign work, etc. List all institutions on your application. Even if the coursework completed there was transferred to another institution. Report each institution only once, regardless of the number of degrees earned or gaps in the date of attendance. Send official transcripts for each U.S. or Canadian graduate institution attended. This includes non-psychology related institutions. So those are the programs to include and not include in this section. Then they give the instructions about adding a college, how to do it. You click Add New Entry. You look for the name of it. You locate and select your institution on the list, enter the information including your GPA, and click Save.
You know, like hard that's going to be, that went to 5 different colleges.
Yeah, okay. So the good news is that we are September 13th, and you have until basically November 1st is when most of our early application deadlines occur. And so we're talking about it today, and I think that that's, it's good for us, so we have the time to do that. Now, what the instructions about graduate transcripts, let's talk about that part. And notice that transcripts are for graduate, not undergraduate work, so we don't need to worry about undergraduate transcripts. If a college is listed under graduate colleges attended, click on the icon under transcript matching form to download and print a transcript request form. Print and complete the form provided to their college's registrar's office so they can send an official transcript to AAPI online. Okay, so I will show you back on the screen, getting off the instruction page here, where that appears. So that is this yellow icon over on the left, where it says transcript matching form. So if we click on that icon, it opens up a form. And this is the form that once it comes up, you should be printing out, signing with your signature, and conveying to the registrar of the institution. If this is an Argosy University, either like the master's, terminal master's in clinical psychology, or my example was, what was that? Why is it not showing? Let's try that again. If it's Argosy University, I will take your form. Wow, look at this.
This is for current graduate.
Not behaving. There it is. Okay. Transcript request form. So this was the Argosy University, Washington, D.C. This is my terminal master's program that I listed in my application. And you will see up at the top here, why do I need to print this form? Because it has a unique barcode with a number identifying that once it accompanies the transcript and is sent to Watertown, Massachusetts, to the AAPI people, it will be entered and by them corresponding to my application. Okay, so my transcript will show up as present. Is that understood by everyone?
Where'd you find that form? Oh, sorry.
Okay, where we got it was, okay, I will shrink it. Graduate colleges attended. When you enter graduate colleges attended, this yellow icon appears over on the left, and when you click on it, it opens that.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay? So, that's what we do about all graduate programs attended other than our PsyD program here. For undergraduate colleges attended, I will show you, it's a similar process. You select the name of the college, you put undergraduate. It doesn't ask for dates of attendance. It does ask for GPA, degree earned, major, was a degree awarded, etc. It asks for certain information, then you will save it by clicking at the bottom, and it will show up here. So no transcripts are going to be included in your application for undergraduate institutions attended, but they are going to be listed. Okay. So this is one of those confusing pages, or possibly confusing pages. Are there questions about this? And I will just say for the folks attending remotely, do you have chat questions about this? No transcripts from undergraduate colleges. Yes, Lane Brook, that was your question. The answer is no. All right. Yes.
So, for the master's programs, would we need to print out that form and bring it to that university, or?
Again, if it's Argosy University, either this campus or any other campus nationwide, bring it to me. If it is another university, send it to that registrar and do that tomorrow, because there's lead time involved. And the form that is there has, let's see, it has instructions at the bottom of it to that registrar. It says, attach this form directly to the official transcript, mail it to Watertown, Massachusetts, have your registrar's seal on it, mail it directly. It will be sent to Massachusetts, and then it will be uploaded into your AAPI. And so what you will see, going back to our home screen in the AAPI, is in our status bar, we will see transcripts received. Right now it's a 0. That will become a 1 or a 2 or whatever number have been received and uploaded by the APIC people. All right, is that clear now? Is that getting clear? Good, okay. Let's see, there was another question. Do I log the masters en route? The answer is no. The answer is no, Preet. So now let's talk about the current graduate program information. And if you haven't, or if you're starting to enter this information, here is what you will see on your screen. And our PsyD program appears as the American School of Professional Psychology, Argosy, Northern Virginia. So it appears under the state of Virginia. That's where we will find it and click on it. And this information here, I want copied verbatim and to be exactly the same for everyone. In other words, department name, clinical psychology, current graduate program name, clinical psychology program, college name, College of Clinical Psychology, what is the designated subfield, clinical, of course. Scroll down, what degree are you seeking? The PsyD degree, your cumulative GPA, fill it in, whatever it is. So here is where you do enter the master's en route. Have you earned or are you in the process of earning a master's degree in any field at your current university? Yes, you all have earned the MA en route, those of you who entered here in the PsyD, correct? So you will answer yes there. So that that's the only spot right here where you talk about the master's en route. You click yes to that question. Then continuing down, and all of these responses here are in the attachment that I sent email to you all earlier this week in the screenshots. We will look at what is your department's, the next thing is accreditation status. Are we APA accredited? Yes, we are. Are we CPA, Canadian Psychological Association accredited? No, we are not. So that's a no. What is our training model? Practitioner scholar. Then we go to the CRP section. So we enter information related to our CRP. What is your title or topic? So you type in your title. What type of research is involved? Critical literature review is what I put in my API here. If yours uses a database or original data collection, you will check the appropriate box that corresponds to your CRP. Then, if no dissertation is required, describe the status of any major project. So I have, our department actually has developed a text for that, which again is part of the attachment that I sent earlier this week. So I haven't put it in here, but it's about 3 sentences worth, and it's in your attachment. So I will just ask you to go back, and I will resend this out to everyone tomorrow. Type in that information in this particular box. It's a generic description of CRPs in our program. Then the AAPI asks for our advisors for this doctoral research. And I've just put in here, for example, Dr. Sheeran, Dr. Fama, the advisor's phone, and the advisor's email address. So you should also enter those as they correspond to your particular CRP. And as always, at the bottom of the page, click Save. So that is the current graduate program information that gets filled in. And so I want to pause here just for a second and ask, Are there any questions about those responses that you are going to be typing in that? Yeah, Lawrence.
Thanks. So again, it is in the no, if no dissertation is required, it's that part where we insert the
Yes,
sentence,
yeah,
right? Okay.
there's like 3 sentences.
Right, okay.
Mhm. So, here we are back on the page for current graduate program information. We see it summarized, left to right on the page. We can click on the blue if we need to update or change an item. If we want to start over altogether, we click on the red X and it erases this entry. Now over on the left again, we have the transcript matching form. So this is important, and I do want you, once you have entered all of your information, to click on it, and let's see if this computer will cooperate in bringing onto the screen that form. It's not wanting to do that. Let's see if it did. No, it's not that one. All right, I'm going to go back and forth and see if it will. Okay, this computer is not cooperating right now. What will come up is a form somewhat similar to this other transcript request form that we just had. It will have your name auto-populated. It will have, oh, I think it did. Okay. It will have the name of our institution, American School of Professional Psychology, Argosy, Northern Virginia. And it will have your individual customized number and barcode in the upper right. I want you to print this, and I want you to bring it to me and sign it. So a few people have done that already, but I need these from everyone, okay? Just print it, sign, and date it. If you can do it before you leave today, that would be great, and leave it with me. If you can bring it to campus next time you come, next week. Can we submit it via email? Martina, I got yours via email. Yes. I do not want, however, you to take a picture of it because the barcode will not have good quality and fidelity if you take a picture of it. There are some methods of sending that result in good resolution, and we need that because we need them to be able to scan the barcode. However, it does have to have your signature on it. Let's see, was there another question? What if we were out of sync? Can we send it electronically? Try, Jonathan, and I will take a look at what you send me and get back to you about that. But photographs are not good. That I will say. Photographs are not acceptable. Okay, if you have Adobe Acrobat and can sign with a signature and save within Adobe and then email an Adobe document, then that will have good resolution and that will be acceptable to be emailed to me. So what I'm going to be doing actually is collecting all of your transcript request forms, and once your comps results are in and posted onto your transcripts, which will occur, as I mentioned, at the end of this month, at that point I will mail your transcripts. I'm going to have these printed, actually. Saul Mazaki prints transcripts for us in the clinical program, and attach them to your transcript request forms. I'm going to mail these all to Watertown, Massachusetts, and early in October you should see your ASPP transcript showing up in your AAPI status window as having been received. So that's the process we will do. Get these transcripts, Argosy transcripts, to me, and I will, or the transcript request forms, I will take care of getting your transcripts, putting them together with the request forms, and sending them to Massachusetts. Okay, this is the trickiest part of everything we're doing today. So if we get this right, we're going to do really well. So if you can print it today, or for the next time you come to campus, bring it to me. Then I'll have everybody's, and we'll be ready to go once our comps results come through. And I should also mention in this regard, we all want our transcripts to be totally complete when they're sent out. So if you have outstanding practicum paperwork from the fall, or if you took a summer practicum, from the spring or a summer practicum, get that to me right away so that we can get those grade changes posted onto your transcript, so the transcript that gets received by APIC and by your internship sites, all your grades are there. Okay, so that is current graduate program information. I'm going to go back to the home screen, just pause, take a little sip of water here, and see if there are any questions. One of the sites I'm applying to has a due date of October 14th. Will everything be sent in by then? Wow, okay. Will everything be sent in by then, or do we need to email you saying that it's an early deadline? Yeah, good question. I have not heard of an October 14th deadline. I think that one of those sites is really going against what APIC advises its members to do, which is, don't make it too difficult on students. But if they genuinely have an October 14th deadline, write me, and I will work with you on that, Aisha. I will work with you to make that happen, make sure your transcript gets posted. Okay, so we have gone through all of these sections now through current graduate program information. The next section is summary of doctoral training. Oh, Amanda had a question above me. Thank you. Okay, let's check. One of the sites, let's see. Do I need a transcript for an MA that was British? It says US or Canada on the site. Amanda, I would go exactly verbatim with the instructions. If it is a British MA, I would not do the transcript. Okay. Next section is summary of doctoral training. And this is also a section with some very specific answers that I want you to type in. So again, if you have your AAPI up on your screen, you can type in many of these right now, and that will be helpful because you will get them correct. This is our school, and this actually automatically populates when you typed it in on a previous screen. American School of Professional Psychology, Argosy, Northern Virginia, department name, clinical psychology. That pre-populates. Now there are some questions that you are to answer. Did you complete your academic coursework, excluding dissertation and internship hours? For most of you, that will be expected, not completed. You still have courses going on this fall, going on in the spring, right? So, the date that you complete or expect to complete this academic coursework, excluding dissertation and internship, for most of you is going to be April of 2019. That's when our spring term wraps up, right? Or if you have a summer one class, that would be June 2019. So that's the answer that I would expect for most of you. There are a few who may have completed all your coursework already, and so it would be some earlier date. So fill it in for you. Is it required to participate in the APIC match that you have completed your academic coursework? The answer in our program is no, because the match is going on. You put in your rankings at the end of January. You're still taking classes. So our answer is no. You don't need to have completed all your classes to be participating in the APIC match. The other question here is it required to attend an internship that you completed your academic coursework? The answer to that one is a yes. You have to finish all your classes before you can go out to internship. So it's a no and then a yes for these last two items here. Clear to everyone? So we'll go to the next row. Have you successfully completed your program's comprehensive/qualifying examination? Yes, it's completed. What is the date completed? We're going to put September 2018. That's when the results come out. And is it required to participate in the APIC match? Yes, our program requires it. So is it required to attend an internship? The answer is also yes. So it's yes and yes to those on that row for the comprehensives. Next row is master's thesis, completed, expected, or not applicable. For most of you, it's going to be not applicable. If you click not applicable, then the other responses are grayed out on this row. Or if you put completed, then it does ask you for dates and details. Is this required to participate in the APIC match? No, it is not. It is not. Our program does not talk about master's theses as requirements. So that's that row. Questions? Do we have? Let's keep going.
Wait,
Yes.
So I did do a master's thesis.
Yes, you did.
So.
So you completed it, and then you would put your date, and then for these questions, is it required to participate in the match or required to attend an internship? You would put no.
Okay.
So, next rows have to do with your dissertation/doctoral research project. So we are talking about your CRP, okay? So our CRPs, proposal approved. You have to answer yes to this. And I know we've been talking about it over the months, and this is a program requirement that your CRP proposal be completed, and the date that it's completed is what you enter on the next line here, and that has to be, whatever month that it was. I put in this example, December 2017. Is it required to participate in the APIC match? Yes, it is. Is it required to attend an internship? Yes, it is. So it's a yes and a yes for that row. Next row is data collection. For many of us, there is not formal data collection, so we would put NA, and that's what I've put in my example. And then again, these responses are grayed out and you don't fill them in. If, however, you do have data collection, you would have completed and put in the date, or you would have expected and you would put in the date for that. Again, our program doesn't require data collection to be completed, so those would be no responses over on the right. Next row is data analyzed, and again, I put NA because in my example it's a critical literature review, and so no further responses in that row. But if you have data analysis that you're expecting to do, click expected, put in the date, and then click no and no to these answers over on the right. Is it required? Let's see. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Martina. Could you type that one other time? Let's see. Is it required to attend internship if you do have data? No, it's not. Your data collection and your data analysis, if you have an empirical CRP, can be on any timetable that you set up with your CRP chair. It is not a program requirement of ASPP that your data collection or your data analysis be finished by any particular date. That's between you and your chair. That said, I would advise you that internships, why do internships ask this? Why are they looking at this? Because they like to have interns who aren't too busy with other things, particularly their dissertations. They like interns who have time to focus on them and on doing the internship. So if it appears from your responses here that you're going to be real busy with data collection and data analysis during the period of their internship, they might look at that and say, is this intern going to have their attention divided or their energies divided and not going to be as attractive a candidate for us? So think about that. If you have an empirical CRP, are planning with your CRP chair your timetable for data collection and analysis, try to avoid those things taking place during mid to late 2019. Because that's when the internship is going to want to have you focused on that. Okay, the final row here for dissertation doctoral research project is defended. And for everybody that's going to be an NA not applicable. We don't have formal defenses of our CRPs. So you will click NA and then the rest of the responses in that row will be grayed out. So I'm just going to pause again for a second and say, are there questions about this CRP information that you're going to be entering here? Okay, I hope those of you with your accounts there have gotten most of the details correct already that apply to you. So scrolling down, this section about practicum hours, this is going to populate from another screen. We do not enter any numbers here about intervention, assessment, and supervision hours. We will return to this screen later once I put in some numbers on a different screen, and we will see that this is populated. But for now, we're going to move on to the next one. So, anticipated practicum experience. How many people here are on practicum this year? Okay, so this is a really important section, and this is a section where you can help yourself. So, what the instructions are here, this section summarizes and describes anticipated practicum experiences. Please include type of experience anticipated, approximate hours per week, supervision hours anticipated on a weekly basis, duration of the training, and description of the duties. Well, how much space do you have to talk about this? Maximum 3,000 characters. That is a lot of space. You can talk about your current practicum in a lot of detail. And people ask me, applicants, well, after November 1st, I'm doing all this practicum experience, and the numbers are not counted in my totals on the AAPI. Well, yes, but you can describe them and talk about them here. And this is the place to develop a narrative about your current practicum and talk about it in as much detail as you can to show your internship sites what you are doing this year and how prepared that's going to make you for internship. So address these items that they mention here, and I advise you to fill it out in complete sentences, and I advise you also to proofread it and spell check it. This is one of the sections of the AAPI that I, as training director, do get to see and look at when I am doing your approval of your AAPI. And I have seen in the past people who have made a typo, a spelling error, or left out important information about their site. And that hurts you. It's a chance to help yourself right here. So take a little time and write out a good quality description of your current practicum. Then in terms of number of hours anticipated, we are talking about total hours starting November 1st and going to the end of the practicum. So what I did here was a calculation. If you had 16 hours a week and you had 4 weeks per month, that would be 64 hours in a week. And if you had November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, that is 8 months. So 8 months times 64, I think is 512. I think that's how I got this number. That is the type of calculation that they want you to do in terms of total hours. So I know from your practicum assignment agreement, you have total hours per week on your current practicum. So multiply that by 4 to get a month, and then multiply that number by 8 months, and then you will get a number of hours anticipated.
And this is only practicum, not like any additional hours from TA or anything like that?
TA hours, no. No, TA hours are separate. We're going to talk about TA hours shortly. We will do that. Okay, So, anticipated practicum experience. This is an important section that you can do a good job on, and it helps to present you in a very good light. Any questions on that piece before I move on? Okay. The last part of this section is simply your doctoral program. If you don't have any hours, should we write NA? Yes, Bryna, that's correct. Just put NA. Contact information for academic DCT. I am the academic DCT, so my information, David Sachs, dsachs@argosy.edu, 1550 Wilson Boulevard. We're Suite 700 now, that's Charmette's office. Arlington, Virginia 22209, 703-526-5877. So that is going to be your information. So now at the bottom, we have 3 buttons instead of 2. We have cancel, we have save. You should click save. And then the final button is, let's go back to that, summary of doctoral training. At the very bottom it says send to DCT/training director. Don't send it to me yet. Don't send it to me until we have done some other sections. And the sections that you need to do are your intervention, your summary of practicum experiences, which is what we're going to talk about next. Because your summary of doctoral training, if you haven't done your hours entry yet, you have NA here for all of your totals, and that's not what we want, okay? So you will click this button, send to DCT/training director, when you feel totally ready that you have everything that we've talked about so far entered correctly, plus all of your practicum hours also entered correctly. Yes, question?
Read the phone number out loud.
Oh, yes, 703-526-5877. Okay. So again, all of these pages that we have covered up to this point are in the attachment that I sent to you, and I'm going to resend tomorrow morning to you. So if you have any questions about some of the details, these are the details that we do want to get correct. So I'm going to save, go back to the home screen here, and say it is almost 5 o'clock. We have gotten through many of the sections, and the sections with the most detail for us to cover today. We have taken care of that. So we're in good shape. So if there are no questions, I'm going to move on to the certifications, publications, presentations section. Most people will not have anything. Most of our students do not have anything to enter in this section, so if you do, fine. But this is licenses and certifications at the master's level in mental health fields. They want the license, the type of license, and the jurisdiction. Then publications in refereed journals. So again, they have to be refereed journals. And then books or book chapters. Then there are presentations. Professional presentations you have made at regional, state, national, or international meetings, conferences. Dr. Fedio's on-campus presentations do not qualify. They should be on your CV. They should not be in this section because they are not regional, state, national, or international meetings. So most people applying from our program will check this box at the bottom. This section was left intentionally blank. And then you will click Save, and you will be done with that section. Question? Yes?
Do we include like publications from undergrad or only things in this program?
If they are refereed journals, yes, include them. And again, when in doubt, click the instructions for this section button in the upper right, and it will open, although this computer is being fussy about opening things, it should open a section that gives you detailed instructions about it, okay? So I'll close that back to my application. So we've covered all those sections at this point. Now we're going to move on to the practical stuff. So take a little sip of water and we'll move on to the next part. Intervention experience. Let's talk about intervention. There are two columns, one on the right for terminal masters and the other for doctoral. We have talked, I know, in the workshops about those people who have had terminal masters, and that includes our MACL program, having terminal masters practicum hours and entering them in this separate column on the right. So that's what you will do. For everybody, including those folks, everyone will be doing this left-hand column, doctoral to November 1st, 2018. So you will put, and if you go into your time to track account and click, there's a button called AAPI View, you should get a screen that looks quite a bit like this. So AAPI, or I'm sorry, the time to track will total for you the number of older adults you have seen, total hours face-to-face, and number of different individuals. You will transfer those numbers, number by number, from those boxes in your time to track to these boxes in your AAPI. Make sense? Adults 18 to 64, same thing. Total hours face-to-face, number of different individuals. Adolescents 13 to 17. School age 6 to 12. Preschool age 3 to 5. Infants, toddlers 0 to 2. So your time to track, if you've been faithful about that, will give you those totals, and you will transfer the numbers in. So I'm just going to do a few numbers here to illustrate the process. Let's say we have 100 hours seeing adults, and we have 40 hours seeing school age, and this was 20 clients, and this was 12 clients, number of different individuals. And we will put, for the master's program, we saw 80 hours, and we saw 10 different individuals for that. So then you go down there, all these different categories of intervention hours: career counseling, group counseling. Let's put 25 hours, five different groups in the master's level: family therapy, couples therapy, consultation, etc. Supervision of other students performing intervention and assessment activities. Who has TA hours here? Just on the TA hours form? Okay, this is the box where you enter those. So let's say we have 50 hours there. We will just put those in. All right. Let's save those totals and see what happens. If we go back to summary of doctoral training, those numbers that I just put in will get totaled into these totals. So we have doctoral intervention hours at 190, and we have terminal master's intervention hours at 105. That's how the totals get generated. So, continuing along in intervention experience, I think we really got to the bottom of that. That is what you want to do with intervention experience. So I'm going to now introduce one twist or elaboration on that, which is we are at September 13th right now. The doctoral hours are going to be to November 1st of 2018. I will allow you to estimate additional hours and add to the totals that are already here. And let's take a simple example. Let's suppose that we are in a center working with teens and we are seeing 5 hours of therapy per week. Okay, simple example. And we have, how many weeks till November 1st? Well, about 6 weeks till November 1st. We have about 2 more weeks. Is it 6 weeks, 7 weeks? I can't remember. Let's say 7 weeks. We have 7 weeks times 5 hours a week. And our practicum assignment agreement tells us how many face-to-face hours we're expecting to see in a week, right? So I'm just saying 5. 5 hours times 7 weeks is what? 35. So let's enter that number, that additional number here, 35. And how many clients is that going to be? Let's say that's going to be approximately 9 different individuals. Let's enter that and let's save that number at the bottom. And we will see that if we go to the summary of doctoral training, our total has gone up. We are now at 225 because those additional numbers were added. These totals are what I'm going to see when you send to the DCT. I will see these totals and I will allow for that increase. That is a good estimate of where your intervention hours are going to be on November 1st. And so I will allow you to do that and will encourage you to do that. Is that making sense? This is how to project our hours. Everyone is very quick on the uptake here. Fantastic. Okay.
I'm sorry, I know I walked out for a second.
Yeah.
Where's the additional box?
Okay, so we will go to the section on intervention hours.
Okay, yeah.
And the numbers that we copied from our time to track,
Yeah.
representing where we are today, are something that we can add on to. And the example I picked was that we're actually working with teens, and we have 7 weeks of seeing teens for 5 hours a week. So we're going to add 35 hours in to our intervention hours.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So even if it's not on your time track, you're just adding what you're expected to.
Yeah, what you're expecting to do in the
Okay.
number of weeks. And if you get to this 2 weeks from now, you'll have 5 weeks to go. So
Okay.
it'll be 5 times 5 or 25 that you're adding, but presumably you've been totaling all along.
Gotcha.
So you're going to arrive at the same place. So that's what we do to arrive at doctoral intervention hours to November 1st, 2018. Good. So if we have no more questions on that section, let's talk about psychological assessment experience. What does AAPI want from us here? When we click on a new, let's see, you must select a category. Let's select psychodiagnostic test administration and add a new entry. They want to know how many doctoral hours and how many terminal master's hours face-to-face to November 1st you did. Well, let's say we did 150 hours so far, but we think we're going to do 10 more hours. So let's call it 160. And we will save that. And the masters, we didn't do any testing on our masters, so we will just save those numbers. Very simple section to do. Supposing I did neuropsychological assessment. Let's add a new entry for that. Let's see. Please open. Okay. Neuropsychological assessment, total doctoral hours face-to-face. Supposing I have 90 of those. Terminal masters, 0. Let's save that. And so, again, our totals are shown in the main screen. Then we had 160 psychodiagnostic and 90 of neuropsychological. Questions on this section? Yes?
I noticed that doesn't let you do like 0.5, so say you did like,
It does not.
should we round up? Or-
You can round up.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. I will not fuss over 1 hour in one direction or the other. And chances are your sites will not fuss, which is why APIC doesn't allow fractional hours. They want to get a snapshot or a general idea of what you've been doing. And as we've talked about with test administration, there is number of hours, there is which instruments and how many times have you given each, and then there is number of reports written, and then in the supplementals there is give me a sample report and show me how you actually write a report. So they are evaluating your testing experience in a combination of all those ways. So this gives a rough idea of the hours you've spent doing assessment, and then there's other pieces of information that are part of your AAPI as well. Okay, so this section is right here is pretty straightforward. Let's move on to the assessment instruments. And the adult assessment instruments, you can find out from your AAPI view in your time to track. These test instruments should be listed. So you will be able to click on one, and let's go on to, let's find WACE4 and add an entry for that. And it will ask you for the WACE4, how many were you clinically administering and scoring? Let's put 12. Clinical reports written with this measure, let's say 8. Number administered as part of a research project, 0. So we will save that. We will do that same process for every adult instrument that we gave. Is that pretty clear? So, you're smiling. Just tedious. Yes, it's tedious. Yes, it's tedious. It can take some time, but you'll get faster at it. And I think time to track is doing their part to try and get you the AAPI view so that what you see on your time to track screen corresponds to what you're going to see on your AAPI screen. So you can just see one number, type it over here, see the next number, type it over here. Select that instrument. So we are going to find all those instruments, and then we are going to put in our numbers that we've given. So if we have done, for example, each of these sections has an entry for other measures. And so if there is something that you have used that is not on this list, first of all, you have to decide what kind of instrument was it. Was it a symptom inventory? Was it a diagnostic interview? Was it a forensic or risk assessment? Was it a general cognitive instrument? Was it a forensic instrument? Was it a visual motor? Was it a neuro measure? And so I will click, if I think of a neuro measure, what's a neuro measure that's not included on this list? They have a lot of them. So, does anyone know? Anyway, let's make one up. Let's add a new entry. We will call it the Fedio scale. All right? And we used this in our practicum, and we administered 12 of them, and we included them in reports 12 times. We didn't do research with them. And comments, so you can describe the Fedio measure. Say the Fedio scale was developed by Paul and Allison Fedio. You see no typos, right? You have to get that right. And then you describe what it measures and was it validated, et cetera, et cetera. You can have 450 characters to explain the significance and importance of this and show them, oh, I know an instrument that other people don't know. I have such great preparation because of the Fedios here at ASPP. So you can then list that, save it, and so that has now shown up in your master list on this page. We have entered our WACE4s, and we have entered our Fedio scales. So we will continue to do that for all of our adult measures. No questions? Okay. Going back to our home screen, we will see the same thing is going to be done for child and adolescent assessment instruments. Again, they have a list with most all of the commonly used ones. So you will find it somewhere in this list. You will click on it. Supposing we were at Children's National Medical Center, we did a lot of Baileys, and we will enter how many Baileys did we do. We did 27 Baileys, and we wrote 27 reports. So we will save that. Oh. Now, if you don't enter something in a box that requires it, it's going to give you this red message, so I have to put in a 0 there before I save. Now it will allow me to save. And sure enough, now we have a row for Bailey scales showing what our numbers are. So we're going to do that for the child and adolescent instruments, same as we did for the adult instruments, and that's how we're going to do those sections. Last section is integrated reports, and this is just simply a number. How many adult reports, how many child and adolescent reports. So we can put 14, we can put, we did 27 reports, didn't we, for those children and adolescents. So we will save those, and so that is done. Okay, next section, supervision receipt. Again, the AAPI view in your time track should give you these numbers of hours of individual supervision from a licensed psychologist, let's say 140, group supervision 65, supervision by an allied mental health professional, put zeros perhaps, other supervision from an advanced graduate student, I'll just put zeros for that. For terminal masters, I'm going to say it was a master's person for 80 hours of individual and 30 hours group, and put zeros for those, and comments if you have comments. So it generates a total, and we click save. Yes?
Should we be like adding comments about this stuff or just commenting?
I don't know what type of
Yeah.
comments they are interested in here. Let me just save this quickly and see if there's some type of comment that they are even talking about. Comments. Didactic components. No, didactics are reported under support hours. No, I don't know why you would have comments about this. I truly don't. I do know there's one little piece at the bottom here I didn't talk about yet. Please indicate whether you have made audio or video recordings of your clinical work and reviewed them with your supervisor, as well as whether you have ever been directly observed by a supervisor. I hope the answer is yes to at least one of these. I spent so much time talking to your practicum supervisors about the need to do this. I visited almost every practicum site, and I know I have talked about this with every practicum supervisor I've talked to. We invite them to campus and we talk to them about this. If you can check 2 or 3 of those boxes, that's even better. This is the gold standard of supervision, is being directly observed or having audio tapes or videotapes of your work being reviewed by your supervisor. Even if it's happened once, check the box. If it's happened 3 times, check the box. If it can happen between now and November 1st, make it happen and check the box. This establishes you as someone who has had scrutiny and had quality supervision. So I want you to have that. And you can go to your supervisor now and say, you know, I haven't had audio taping. I want to audio tape a session so I can list it on my AAPI and have you review the audio tape of my session. Let's make it happen between now and November 1st. You'll learn something clinically, and you will present yourself as a high-quality applicant. So let's check the boxes, click Save, and we will save that page. Okay, we are moving along very well. It is 5:20, and so now, having done the supervision, let's just review here, go back to the summary of doctoral training and see that actually our fields are populated now for both the doctoral and the terminal masters with our numbers of intervention hours, assessment hours, and supervision hours. I'm going to be looking at these totals and seeing if they make sense given my records of your practicum experience and my knowledge of your current practicum. And if these numbers seem out of whack, then I will write back to you, and we will figure out what is the correct number to put in. So this conversation that I sometimes have with applicants takes place during late September and the first part of October. So that is why we're doing this workshop today, so that by early October, you can have all of this done and send it to me for my review and verification. So if we have any tweaks or any modifications we need to do, we will have plenty of time to have that conversation and do it. Okay, so we continue right along. Additional information about practicum experiences. This again should come from your AAPI view in your time to track if you've been faithful in doing your time to track recording along the way. They're going to ask about different types of settings that you have worked in and how many hours of intervention and assessment you may have done in those different settings. So child guidance clinic, community mental health center, forensic justice setting, inpatient psychiatric hospital, medical clinic / hospital, etc., etc. Whatever category you attached your previous or current sites to is going to show up in your time to track, and you will have those numbers and you'll transfer them over. So again, your internship sites where you apply are going to see, okay, what sorts of settings have you been working in, and more or less how much time have you spent, how many hours seeing patients in each of those sites. This gives them a quick look at that and an answer to that. Now, scrolling down, another interesting section where you can strengthen your application. Have you led or co-led any type of groups? How many people here have led or co-led either a master's practicum or a doctoral practicum? Excellent. If you have, great. If you have an opportunity to do it between now and November 1st and haven't yet, try and do it. And then it says, please describe the type of group, approximate duration, average number of clients in each group session. You have 3,000 characters to do it. So you can write quite a long essay about your group therapy experience. You can say, who were the clients? What was the age group? What was the diagnosis? What was the presenting problem? What were the focus of the group sessions? Was it process-oriented? Was it psychoeducational oriented? What were the topics of the group? Was I leader? Was I co-leader? Did I design the group? Did I found the group? What were the criteria for the patients that were selected for the group? How long was the duration of the group? What were the outcomes of the intervention with the group members? You can talk about all those things. You have 3,000 characters to do it. You can portray yourself to the greatest extent possible for what you have done as a group therapist. So here's your chance to do it. Primary theoretical orientation. I think this is a silly section, and nevertheless they asked it. And so they said, choose up to 3 and please rank order. Behavioral, biological, cognitive behavioral, eclectic, humanistic, existential, integrative, interpersonal, psychodynamic / psychoanalytic, systems, or other. I don't know how to advise you on this, other than select 3. And if you want to explain your choices, or if you've done other, you can explain in this box down below. I don't think this is as important as your theoretical orientation essay, because your theoretical orientation essay gives you an entire 500 words to talk about your theoretical orientation. I think that's a better format to really explain what you're all about in your treatment work. But here it is, and you should do something in this section. Moving along, race, ethnicity, again, this should be from your time to track. If you've identified your clients all along at your practicum sites, you should have numbers. And again, I don't think internship sites fuss over this, but they do like to see some diversity in the clientele that you have seen. So hopefully that will be apparent in some of your entries here. Sexual orientation, again, if you have some diversity in the clientele that you've seen, you can note it numerically and you can describe it as well in an essay. Disabilities, again, they have some categories of disabilities, including serious mental illness, e.g. primary psychotic disorders, major mood disorders that significantly interfere with adaptive functioning. You may have clients that have had those. So you can, again, note intervention hours and assessment hours with folks with those particular disabilities. And then gender, again, they have spaces to note your numbers. All right, way down at the bottom, non-practicum clinical work experience. And I know some of you have been asking about this from the beginning. I've done work outside of my practica in clinical settings. I want to be able to talk about it in the AAPI. I think it qualifies me. It should be appealing to internship sites. Where do I talk about it? Here is the space. How much space do you get? 1,500 characters. It's something. And if you have done any work outside of practica that is applicable, definitely make an essay and talk about it here, as well as have it on your CV. So talk about the clientele, the theoretical orientation, the tests that you used if you were doing testing, the type of supervision, and of course supervision by psychologists is great if you can talk about that as well. Outcomes of your work, responsibilities that you've had for how long you've been doing it, anything to show the significance of your non-practicum clinical work experience. Here is your place to talk about it. So again, write up a nice little essay, complete sentences, spell check it, grammatical, punctuation, capitalization, all those good things, and then paste it in here. Then we will save this page, and we will move on. So, that was additional experience. Support activities. So, remember when you were in Practicum 1-2, starting Practicum 1-2, I'm getting these questions from the Practicum 1-2 students. Which category of support hours do I put this in? Is it this or is it that? What it comes down to in the AAPI is they want you to write a little narrative. We have not had numerical categories of support hours so far in today's discussion, have we? No, they want you to write a little essay here. They give you plenty of space, 4,500 characters. Say, please indicate the primary activities in which you participated that comprise your support hour activities. If you think that your support hours include any activities that are unusual or unique to your program, you can highlight that as well. So really what they're pulling for here is uniqueness, something special about you. Did you participate in a research project at a site or program evaluation, or you assisted on some special project at the site? Describe it. Otherwise, you can just give your support hours totals and leave it at that. I don't think this is really significant in the eyes of internship sites, unless you have something special to talk about, and if you do, do that. So that's what it boils down to here: total doctoral support hours, total terminal master's support hours, and click Save. So I try to tell students in Practicum 1-2, don't obsess over your support hours, just put it in a category and move on, because that's what it boils down to at internship time. So there we are, that's support hours. We have now covered all of the practicum experiences. And I'm going to pause again, take a little sip of water, and ask if there are any questions about any of those sections we have been looking at for the past little while, in intervention, assessment, supervision, and support. Yes.
So, if we realize, looking at the AP view of it, that we have logged some of our supervision in incorrectly from the first year, so like, for example, I put licensed allied mental health professional on accident for a couple of them.
Mhm.
How do we just go back and manually fix it, but how does that work with you?
You don't have to fix in your time to track.
Oh,
You
okay.
can fix it in your AAPI. I will look at it. If I see it's a small difference in hours, I will not fuss. If it looks like a large difference in hours that affects your supervision. Actually, I don't see the category of supervision. Let me find that. I don't believe that I see that. That is on the honor system. All I see is the total supervision hours in your doctoral practica or in your master's practica. Which categories of supervisor you were working with is something that your internship sites are going to see, but I will not see that. So if you have an adjustment to make, to me, that's on the honor system with you. Okay. Other questions about practicum hours? Again, yes, this is somewhat tedious. It will take time to do. It's September 13th. Now we know what we have to do, and allow yourself time to do it. Do some one day, some another day, and work your way through it, just so you get there. Just so you get there. Okay, let's move on and go to the last sections. And these will be pretty quick. The cover letters, essays, CV, supplemental, references, and application certification. These sections, we have basically talked about the content of these sections all along in the various workshops. We've talked about what makes a good cover letter. We've talked about the topics for the essays and how to think about writing them. The CV, most of you have had individual editing of your CV and suggestions for your tweaking your CV. The supplementals are the case summaries and or test report de-identified that sites can ask you about. And the references are your field supervisors and faculty members who are going to be recommending it. So in looking at these sections, I'm not going to talk about content, but I will talk about the mechanics of getting it done. So this will be very quick, and then we should actually finish before 6. So let's look at cover letters first. If we add new entry, what it basically says is upload cover letter. So let's select a site, and of course we're going to do a cover letter specific to each site. I'm going to do St. Elizabeth's. And then I'm going to browse in my computer. This is not my computer, but actually I don't find any Word documents. But in your computer you will find documents, and you will upload the document. Upload file, and it will upload. All right? So I can't show you what it's going to look like, but it's a very straightforward process. And what it allows you to do is Word documents and PDFs. The other thing I will just call your attention to here is the format of the cover letter. And let's open the instructions. Please. It's not opening. At any rate, what I suggest to people is you don't need a fancy letterhead. You do need the correct and correctly spelled name of the internship director of that internship. And you do need your name at the bottom. You don't need other information about you because this is going to be included with the rest of your application. All right, it's not opening this instructions. So just take a quick look at the instructions about formatting your cover letter. And again, it's a Word document or it's a PDF document. All right, moving on. Essays. Okay, you are required to create only one essay document. Should you prefer to tailor your essays per internship program designation, you have the option to create multiple essay documents. Essays should be formatted in sets of 4. Address the following topics in order: autobiographical, then theoretical orientation, then diversity, and then research. We've talked about this, they should be in that order. And again, if you were sending them to me to take a look at your essays, again, they should be in one document in that particular order. So that's how the AAPI wants them. Let's see if it, okay, it's opening. Okay. The requirements. Limit your essays to less than 500 words each. So that's approximately 1 typewritten page, single-spaced, per essay. And then you should have a title at the top of each essay, like autobiographical, theoretical orientation, etc. And you should have your name on each page as well. Proofreading, of course, spelling, grammar, punctuation. Uploading your essay. Click Add New Entry, enter a title for the essay, choose File, Upload File. So it's an uploading process. Any questions? Straightforward. Okay. Next, CV. CV, I am recommending that you PDF your CV when you have the formatting exactly as you want it to be. Word documents can get jumbled when they are uploaded, and saving something in PDF preserves the beautiful formatting and consistency that you have worked so hard to create. So it presents you in the best possible light. The fonts, the bolding, the underlining, everything beautiful about your CV will be preserved in the PDF, and so they will see it and get a very professional impression of you. So it can be Word, it can be rich text format, it can be PDF, it can be text file. I recommend PDF. So that's all I'm going to say about CVs today. Supplementals. Let's open that section. Okay, it is your ethical responsibility to protect the confidentiality of patient information. I did get a call 1 year recently from an internship director who said, it appears as though your applicant did not protect the confidentiality of the client in their test report. So I was appalled. I immediately contacted the student, and it was